Mr. Curtis, would you please state your full name for the record?
My name is Eugene CURTIS.
And where do you reside?
Tallahassee, Florida.
And what is your profession?
I'm a computer programmer.
Would you please speak into the microphone so the audience can hear your testimony?
I'm a computer programmer.
Mr. Curtis, are there programs that can be used to secretly fix elections?
Yes.
How do you know that to be the case?
Because in October of 2000, I wrote a prototype for President Congressman Tom Feeney at the company I work for in Oviedo, Florida, that did just that.
And when you say did just that, it would rig an election?
It would flip the votes 51-49 to whoever you wanted it to go to and whichever race you wanted to win.
And would that program that you designed be something that elections officials, that might be county boards of elections, could detect?
They'd never see it.
Mr., would you answer that question once again?
They would never see it.
So how would such a program, a secret program that fixes the election, how could it be detected?
You would have to view it either in the source code, or you'd have to have a receipt and then count the hard paper against the actual vote total. Other than that, you won't see it.
All right, Mr. Curtis, if you had been asked, you or others with your professional expertise had been asked to design a protective program that would protect the Ohio elections from against such software to fix the election, could you have done so?
If we've been asked to make a program that can fix the election, sure, anybody can do it.
No, could you have designed a program or a procedure or a protocol that would have protected Ohio against this kind of rigging?
No, you have to look at the source code. You have to get probably programmers from all parties to look at the source code and determine if there's anything in there that shouldn't be there. I mean, it's a simple program. You're adding 1 to a person's total. It's 100 lines of code tops.
All right. Are you aware of whether there was any protective action in Ohio against this kind of vote rigging through software?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
You were not asked to assist in the development of any protective system. Is that correct?
No, I was not.
In Europe, have you reviewed at all the election results in Ohio?
No, I haven't.
Given the availability of such vote rigging software and the testimony that has been given under oath of substantial statistical anomalies and gross differences between exit polling data and the actual tabulated results, do you have an opinion whether or not the Ohio election, presidential election, was hacked?
Yes, I would say it was. I mean, if you have exit polling data that is significantly off from the vote, then it's probably hacked.
And your testimony is under oath?
Yes, sir.
And the testimony you've given is true?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Question back to the podium. Who did you say you were asked to prepare?
I was asked by Tom Feeney. He's now a congressman. At that time, he was Speaker of the House of Florida, Yang Enterprises, which is the company I work for, lobbyist, and their corporate attorney. Who wore a lot of hats.
And at the time, he was the Speaker of the House of Florida. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Congressman.
You say he was the lobbyist for the voting machine company at the same time he was Speaker of the House?
I don't know what the voting machine company is. He was a lobbyist for Yang Enterprises. We had NASA contracts.
And Yang Enterprises did what? Computers?
Computers.
Okay, and he was your lobbyist. Your company's
He was the lobbyist for that company, yes.
And he asked you to design a code to rig an election.
Yes.
While he was Speaker of the Florida House.
Yes.
This was during or previous to the 2000 election?
Yes, October, end of September.
And did he ever express why he wanted a code to rig an election?
No, I immediately assumed that they were trying to keep you guys from cheating. So, so I wrote up the documentation of what you would look for in the source code, how you would make sure that you didn't get, taken advantage of, make sure that all voting machines had receipts, because that way you could back count the ones that looked a little funny. And I handed it.
A receipt, you mean a paper trail?
Yes, paper trail. And I handed that in to Mrs. Yang and said, here's your report, here's your program. And she said, you don't understand, we need to hide the fraud in the source code.
Hide the fraud, not reveal the fraud.
Not reveal the fraud because it's needed to control the vote in South Florida, is what she said.
That's what she said.
That's
To your knowledge, was this used?
I have no idea. I was ready to leave.
Well, wasn't that pleasant? Welcome. Taking off the hat for you people. Sorry about the long disclaimer. That was Eugene CURTIS. He was testifying, yes, testifying on a committee about election fraud in Ohio, where Bush stole the election the second time in 2004. Not to mention that he stole it in Florida in 2000 with getting the U.S. Supreme Court to stop the Florida Supreme Court so that Bush would win the election. Does this make you think at all that maybe the elections are rigged? If you didn't get what he was saying, with a little device not much bigger than a large cell phone, they can stand up to 40 feet away from the election place and go click, click, and swap the vote. But the way they prefer to steal the vote is right down at Election Central, where all the precincts report in and come together. That's where they swap the vote. They can do it with the memory card swapping. They can do it in the transmission. Many of you may have noticed in some of the counties in California in the June 2010 primary, they didn't even have the machines that scanned your vote and registered in that little thing about the size of a cell phone called the memory card. Gee, it's slipping my memory. Yeah, the memory scanner, which is supposed to have at every precinct. Until we get back to hand-counted votes in the precinct by senior citizens that got nothing better to do than to make sure the votes are counted correctly, to me, the elections are a dog and pony show. You want to know who really rules your rulers? Just go think about who got bailed out while tens of thousands, no, hundreds of thousands of Americans were being foreclosed on. Tenants were being evicted because they lost their job. People were losing their homes. But who got the bailout? The big bank gangsters on Wall Street. Yeah, Goldman Sachs and all their buddies. I'm not saying they all have Jewish names, but they all belong to these bank gangsters, the international bank gangsters. They got bailed out. No bailout for you. Oh, yeah, they write you a little check, 400 or some, spending intensive. If you pay taxes, they'll give you 400 something back. Big deal. Will that pay your rent? Will that pay your mortgage for a month? Hell no. The thing is, you don't have any control of your government anymore. Zip, zero, none. The elections are a ruse to make you think you have some control. Oh, my Democrat, oh, my Republican won, yay! Bullshit. Both major party candidates on all the elections that matter were pre-picked in virtually every House district, every U.S. Senate seat, even many of your governors and your state assemblymen, the chief honchos in your states, they're all pre-picked. Give you an example. Here in the 20-whatever district, 22nd, 23rd, 24th district of California, where Lois Capps, who promised to only do 2 terms and then get out of office after her husband died in office after 2 months, be careful what you pray for, you might get it. That's a message to myself. And now we're stuck with Lois Capps on what, her 3rd or 4th or 5th term? I've lost count. But nobody's going to get her out. She's going to be in there until she doesn't want to be in there. Why? Because the elections are rigged, number 1. Number 2, all the PAC money, significant PAC money, is going to her. Number 3, she was the best Republican Democrat Bush could have wanted. She voted for every rotten Bush bill that Bush seriously wanted. Oh yeah, she disagreed on some medical, amendments and little minor stuff that isn't worth a gnat's turd. And believe me, a gnat's turd is really small.